Charles, I want to make sure to ask you about some new reporting from the New York Times. More than a dozen people connected to Trump received subpoenas from a federal grand jury this week, including Trump's senior policy advisor, Stephen Miller. The Times writes this is, quote, part of a widening investigation related to Trump's post-election fundraising and plans for so-called fake electors. I wonder what that tells you then about the scope of their investigation.
Well, Alicia, it confirms for me something that I had been saying all along, which is we may not get Donald Trump indicted and prosecuted on the big charge of insurrection and trying to overthrow the government. But quite frankly, if you think back, it was ultimately tax evasion that convicted Al Capone. And what I mean by that is these smaller but more sure and more certain offenses that have been emerging throughout the testimony of the January 6th committee hearings is likely going to pique the interest of the DOJ far more than any sort of grandiose story about an insurrection. That's not to say that the DOJ isn't paying attention to it. It is to say, however, that it is much more certain that you can tie down Donald Trump and connect the dots directly to Donald Trump, more likely around a fake elector scheme and more likely around the grifting that we know now took place than you can the broader scheme to basically try and overthrow the government. It may seem like splitting hairs, but from the perspective of a former prosecutor, it makes a significant difference. So what it tells me is that this is where they feel like these charges may have the most teeth, where they're hammering down and where they're trying to make sure that they can get as much evidence that they can before moving forward with a potential indictment.
Right, and they are making that type of calculus at every step of this process. Eugene, former Trump advisor Steve Bannon now faces state charges in New York, accused of defrauding supporters who donated money to build a wall at the southern border. Federal prosecutors also investigating how Team Trump raised money on their election lies. Take a step back, Eugene. What do these investigations reveal about how Trump, how his allies view their own supporters?
I mean, what it tells you is that they do believe that their supporters will believe whatever they say. And that may sound harsh, but that is what, if for someone who covered the Trump presidency, been covering everything since then, that is what we are seeing, because former President Trump, especially Steve Bannon, these are people who have lied, have made grand claims of things that have never come to fruition. And they are just hoping that the folks that they have convinced to be on their side are going to go wherever they take them. And we've seen at different times how Republican leadership should have been able to say, you know what, no, we're going to try and stop this. But because they're not stopping it, because they are backing Donald Trump and Steve Bannon, all of these folks and the kind of claims they're making, of course the base of the Republican Party is going to follow them along, because there's no one with a voice that they trust saying, no, this is not right. And so at this point, you have a billionaire from New York City telling blue-collar, white voters around the country that they're coming after me, so they're coming after you too. And that is what folks have been hearing for years now. And so as Donald Trump laid the foundation of that from the very beginning, when he was running for office, that has continued. And so now it is inherent in the Republican Party that he stands for everyone who in the Republican Party or in that base who might be persecuted by a scary government. And that is something that is going to be hard for the Republican Party to get out of its system.